What's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Lord Rebo, and today we're going to be diving into the tragedy of Quinlan Vos. From Jedi Knight to Jedi Survivor, his journey was one of the darkest, most emotional arcs in the entire Star Wars galaxy. If you learned something new or enjoy the video, consider subscribing. It really helps the channel grow. If you're interested in diving deeper into Quinlan's story, I would highly recommend checking out Dark Disciple and the new show Tales of the Underworld. Without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Born on the planet of Kifu, Quinlan was a descendant of the Kifu Guardians, a prestigious law-keeping order. The Guardians wore the gold star emblem of the Vos clan on their armor, a symbol of the family's high status. Like most Jedi of his era, Quinlan was taken into the order at a very young age, likely around 1 year old, to begin his training. He was placed under the mentorship of Jedi Master Thulm, who became not just a teacher but a father figure to Quinlan. Their bond ran so deep that Thulm often defended Quinlan's actions before the Jedi Council, no matter the consequences. During the Clone Wars, Jedi Master Thulm's mission was to operate behind enemy lines, working closely with Quinlan Vos to gather intelligence on Count Dooku's inner circle. Just before the Battle of Christophsis, Thulm was assigned to take part in a critical operation ordered directly by the Jedi High Council. Even though Quinlan Vos wanted to accompany his master, the one person he trusted above all others, fate had other plans for him. Thulm's final mission took him to the planet of Seleucami, where the Separatists were breeding enhanced clones trained to fight the Jedi. During the long and brutal siege of Seleucami, Thulm worked deep undercover, sabotaging the clone facilities from within. During this mission, he encountered Asajj Ventress, who had been sent by Count Dooku to eliminate him. While the battle was intense, Thulm ultimately lost his life, leaving Quinlan wondering what may have happened to his master. Part 2. Quinlan's doubts in the Jedi Council continued to grow when he was sent on a mission with the former Sith assassin Asajj Ventress. When Ventress and Quinlan first met in the book Dark Disciples, their relationship was strained to say the least. Still harboring the scars from Dooku's betrayal, she kept her distance from him. On the other hand, Vos was still mourning the loss of his master and was very skeptical of Ventress's motives. Despite these tensions, both were forced to work together and kill the Sith Lord. As the mission progressed, Ventress began to see Quinlan in a different light, not as a typical Jedi, but as someone who was also scarred by war and betrayal. During this time, Ventress would teach him parts of the dark side, convincing Quinlan he would need it to defeat Dooku. Quinlan opened up about his own struggles and doubts to Ventress, which in turn would make her question her own perspectives on the galaxy. As she started letting her guard down, she would also share parts of her own life to Quinlan, and how she ended up being abandoned by the Count. Though they still didn't fully trust each other, they started to understand that they were both just products of a screwed up war. Part 3. Ventress was very reluctant to recount the events leading up to Master Thulm's death, because she knew that the truth would fracture whatever trust had begun to grow between them. Throughout their mission, Quinlan started to notice some small inconsistencies in Ventress's story about his master's death. Eventually, under the weight of Quinlan's suspicions, she confessed to killing Master Thulm in a moment of darkness and pain. This revelation shattered Quinlan emotionally. Rather than bringing the closure he was searching for, the truth only deepened his sense of betrayal. Caught between love and fury, Quinlan would start to lose sight of the Jedi path he once followed so faithfully. The truth about Thulm's death drove Quinlan even closer to the dark side, fueling his rage and grief already burning beneath the surface. As he continued his undercover mission posing as Dooku's apprentice, his inner conflict would grow and the lines between deception and reality would begin to fade. To maintain his cover, Quinlan Vos adopted the Sith title Admiral Enigma, which was a move that deeply unsettled the Jedi Council. Quinlan's ideals would begin to mirror those of Count Dooku, to the point where he would participate in many missions, driving the war effort for the Separatists. He would also start embracing different Sith tactics to accomplish his goals. Quinlan slowly started to cut himself off from the Jedi, leading them to believe he had fallen further to the dark side. While all of this was happening, Ventress was determined to save Quinlan from this path. She sensed that the man she loved was still inside, buried deep under the weight of his own pain. Part 4. As the Jedi prepared to rescue Quinlan, Obi-Wan Kenobi held on to the hope that his friend was still redeemable, despite all the signs pointing to his fall. In a surprising turn of events, Ventress chose to stand with them, not just to save the man she loved, but to fight for the light she had finally embraced as her own. And after everything she had been through, she saw this mission as her own last chance for redemption. However, this fight didn't come easy. She was constantly reminded of her past actions and was aware that the Jedi were deeply wary of her. As they came closer to completing their mission's goal, Ventress saw that Quinlan was on the verge of completely giving in to the dark side, and in the process almost killed Count Dooku. It was at this moment Ventress realized if Quinlan successfully killed Dooku, he would be lost to the dark side forever. In a selfless act of love and redemption, Ventress threw herself in front of Quinlan, taking the full force of Dooku's lightning to protect him from the fatal strike. Seeing the lengths that Ventress went for him, Quinlan made a choice to honor her sacrifice and embrace the light. While turning his attention to Ventress, Dooku ultimately escaped. The Jedi's goal to assassinate Dooku ended in failure, but Quinlan's personal journey towards redemption, inspired by Ventress's final act, shifted his path towards healing. Following these events, Quinlan was taken back to Coruscant where he was pardoned for his crimes. The Jedi Council ended up taking the blame for the mission, realizing that Vos wouldn't have turned if they didn't ask him to spy on the Count, almost in similarity to Anakin's journey in Revenge of the Sith. On top of that, Obi-Wan explained how Ventress had become a friend of the Jedi, and was given credit for bringing Vos back to the light. It is shortly after this meeting where we see Quinlan bringing Ventress's body to the ritual pools of Dathomir with Obi-Wan. Vos then says goodbye to the one he loved as he watches her body slowly sink into the pools. This is where we see Ventress's story pick up in the new Tales of the Underworld. If you want to hear the complete story of Asajj Ventress, leave a comment down below. Part 5. Following the death of Asajj Ventress and his decision to reject the dark side, Quinlan does not return to active Jedi duty in the same way as before. Instead, he is allowed time to heal, both mentally and spiritually. In this time, he mourns Ventress deeply. He slowly starts to fade from the front lines of the Clone Wars and begins to walk his new path of redemption. His future after this point is left somewhat open-ended in the Star Wars canon, but we do know that he ends up surviving during Order 66. It is revealed in Episode 5 of Kenobi that Quinlan Vos is the one that set up the Path, a secret network that helps smuggle Force-sensitive children and surviving Jedi away from the Empire. While he suffered great loss throughout his journey, Quinlan Vos ultimately chose compassion, resistance, and hope, becoming a quiet guardian in the shadows of a broken galaxy. Because Quinlan's fate was left so mysterious, he's always felt like one of the most likely Jedi to return in future Star Wars stories. It'd be really cool to see him return as a gray Jedi, neutral in the Force, kind of like how they brought back Ahsoka. I think there's so much room to build on his character, and Star Wars has yet to take advantage of that. That's going to be a wrap on the complete story of Quinlan Vos. I was genuinely excited to see his return in the Tales of the Underworld, and even more thrilled that it continues his journey after the events of Dark Disciple. I wanted to make this video because I figured a lot of fans might be confused seeing Ventress and Quinlan show up in the new series. Hopefully this helped clear things up. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And always remember, the Force will be with you.